Hey job seekers, Jennifer Tardy here, your career success coach, and we're back with another episode. And today's episode is I haven't heard back after my interview. Why is that? And honestly, this is a spinoff of an earlier video where I received so many questions. If you check out the earlier video, 3 reasons you haven't heard back, check it out. You'll see that there are a lot of questions on there. And so I wanted to address some of those things in this video. Now, we're also going to have our favorite segment, or my favorite segment, which is the career success bonus tip for underrepresented populations. And I don't want you to miss that. And I'm also going to remind you of the Offer Magnet Job Seeker course that we've recently released. And so if you want to become an Offer Magnet, make sure that you go to our details section and check out that course. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Have you just recently had an interview and you have been waiting and waiting to hear back, and every single day that you have to wait, it is excruciating. I mean, like nail-biting, most frustrating experience ever, especially if someone has said, hey, you'll hear back from us by this specific time, and you haven't heard back yet. But I want to make sure that you know that there are things that you could be doing or ways that you could be thinking about this that could really help this experience. So you haven't heard back after your interview. Let's get right into some tips for you. Tip number 1. One of the things that I share with people who come to me with this scenario is that it is completely acceptable to follow up in a professional way with the interviewer. And that follow up, I always do it in 2 ways. I always follow up first with a phone call. If you already have been connected to the recruiter, that's your point of contact. Follow up with a phone call, and odds are you're going to get that recruiter's voicemail because recruiters are crazy busy. And when you get the voicemail, also share with them that you're going to send an email just in case an email reaches them sooner. So now you followed up in a professional way twice, and it is a very acceptable way. Now, if you want to know more about when to follow up after an interview, be sure to click that link right there because I have another video that talks specifically about when to follow up. Tip number 2, understand that things do come up. Murphy's Law, anything that can and will happen, can and will happen. Anything that can happen will happen. I think that's Murphy's Law. Now, the same is true with interviewers or employers who have the best of intentions. And you may have an employer that says, you'll hear back from me by the end of the week, but something may come up. A new deadline may come up at work, some sort of emergency may come up, or some approval that they did not realize that they needed may come up, and it may extend it. Now, a great practice for recruiters or employers in general is to simply pick up the phone or send an email to you to say, hey, there's going to be a delay. We don't have a decision yet, but we'll get back to you with a new deadline. But in real life, it typically does not play out that way. And it's better that you know that up front. So just because you haven't heard back, it doesn't mean anything bad at all. It just means that there may be some sort of unexpected delay. And so going back to tip number 1, it is completely acceptable to follow up. Now, if you're still feeling yourself letting this consume you, this whole waiting game consume you, check out my video on how long does it typically take to hear back from an employer. Check out that video too, because it can give you further insight on the amount of time it takes to hear back from an employer. Quick question for you. For those of you who have figured out a great way or great things to do in the meantime while you're waiting so that you're not obsessing over this, what are some of those things that you've done that have allowed you to keep your mind from obsessing over the when and the why you haven't heard back yet? Put it in the comment section below. I'd be interested in hearing back from you. Tip number 3 is to stay engaged with the employer. And so you haven't heard back from the the interviewer, a big part of the challenge is that you were probably never engaged with the employer after your interview ended anyway. I actually have a video about that. It's about how to keep the conversation going after an interview is over. Now, there is a way that you can use this time now to start engaging with the recruiter or the hiring manager afterward through sending thank you letters. So that is one way of trying to get back in to hear back after the employer. Now, this takes me on to tip number 4. I know that this is going to be hard to hear, but I want you to hear it from me first, and then I'm going to explain to you the upside to it. Another reason why you may not have heard back from the employer just yet is because the employer may have extended an offer to another individual. Yes, I know how this sounds, and there are times when you may be their runner-up candidate, and they do not want to give you a call to say yay or nay until the person that they've extended the offer to says yes or no. And you'll never know, and the job will still be the exact same. The pay will still be the exact same, and it's all okay. I'm just trying to share with you what could be happening behind the scenes. So now let's say that this person says no and they decline the offer, which can happen frequently. And that employer will come to you next to extend the offer to you. It doesn't mean that you are any less valuable, any less capable, and any less competent just because they did not come to you first. There's a myriad of reasons why, they may choose to go with another person first. Maybe that person has actually worked with one of their biggest clients in the past. I don't know. You don't know. And so we don't want to make any assumptions around it. What we do want to know is that, even when they do come to you, if that first person declines, that could have been a reason for the delay overall. The key message here is that I do hope that employers get to a place where they're communicating more with candidates, with job seekers on what the delay in the process is. But in the meantime, hopefully this video will kind of help you through that. Now, as promised, I wanted to share with you my favorite segment, the Career Success Bonus Tip for Underrepresented Populations. And this focuses completely on cultures. I've been doing a lot of podcasts through the But What About Me podcast that we have. If you haven't checked that out, make sure that you check that out. But we often have an opportunity to dive into different cultures. And different cultures, the way that we are brought up in different traditions or different cultures or heritages may make us feel less comfortable following up. And I just want to say that if this is you and you're feeling like following up may be a little too assertive or a little too aggressive for you, I do want to share with you that it's completely acceptable to follow up. And there are certain ways that you can follow with the employer that will not be taken as you're being too assertive or too aggressive. And one of the best ways to follow up with an employer is to simply say, hey, I'm just checking in on the status of this position and if or when a decision will be made on the next steps. And that's it. And there's nothing offensive, assertive, or super aggressive about that. Take it as an inquiry, like you're just inquiring, you're curious so that you can make your own next steps. So I hope that helps if that is your situation. Now, thanks for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed the takeaways in this video. And if you haven't gotten one of my free gifts, I do want to offer you one of my free guides called The 21 Pieces of Career Advice for Underrepresented Populations. I do want you to check that out. The link is below in the details section. And don't forget, if you are interested in learning how to become an offer magnet, then also click the link below to learn more about that course. Now, as always, in order for us to one day in corporate America be underrepresented no more, we must listen, engage, apply, repeat. Now, We must learn. As always, I'm Jennifer Tardy. I'm your career success coach. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.